Radio good people, welcome to the very first episode of Podcast with Pari. It's so exciting to start this adventure and this journey, and thank you guys for tuning in. I'm really excited to interview today our first guest, Patrick Mavros, who I think is going to be great for the show. You know, I think it's great to have people like that come on and hear what they've got to say. But also in the same breath, you know, I want to thank you guys for tuning in and supporting, and I hope that you like, or please do me a favor and like, share, and subscribe, because obviously the more likes it gets, the more subscriptions, the more shares, you know, the bigger the show gets, the bigger the guests can get, and the more entertaining it will become for you. You know, I would like to thank our sponsors for today's show, who are Nanny and Me. Nanny and Me provide a service whereby you can send your nanny or your helper and your child to these guys who are run by occupational therapists, and what they do is they teach your nanny learning methods with your children, you know, and playing methods. And you know, it's one thing to be able to play with a child, but to be able to do it consistently and find new ways and progression of learning and teaching your children. So these guys do that for you, and it's just so great for child development. So I've linked their description and website below, so please have a look at that, and you know, that's going to be very interesting. But Uncle Pat's just arriving shortly, so we're gonna get the first show going. We're waiting for him to arrive, but guys, welcome to the pod. Let's get tough. All right, we're on. Uncle Pat's just arrived. We're gonna go greet him. We're gonna go greet him now, and yeah, excited for this guy. Uncle Pat.
Just calling.
How are ya?
I'm great, mate.
Jeez, welcome.
Pari.
Welcome.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, bro.
Looking well.
How are you?
Eh?
You look good.
Hell of a suave, Uncle Pat.
Thanks so much, my bro.
Yeah.
I like your shoelaces.
Welcome. Thanks so much for coming.
Pleasure.
Yeah,
Lovely to be here.
Thank you very much.
Lovely
Thank you
to
so
be
much.
here.
All right.
Look at this. All these beautiful clouds with the winter here, Pari.
Lovely, isn't it?
It's nice, and we also see the sunbirds starting to nest up here. That's what I can see. They nest, the little sunbirds with their nests, they weave together leaves with spider webs, you see, so that they all disguise. So you've got some great indigenous trees in here.
Yeah, thanks.
There's a hookthorn.
Yeah.
Good. You'll be having a lot of birds nesting
Plenty
in here, my bro.
birds nest. Well, welcome.
Nice.
Good to have you. Radio good people. Welcome to the very first ever podcast with Pari. What a joy it is to have you here and have you tune in. I'm really excited for this new adventure and embarking on this podcast of being able to interview some of the most interesting people here we've got in Zimbabwe, and I hope this continues and carries on to be a great success. I'm sitting here with the great man, with the one and only Patrick Mavros. Uncle Pat, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you here.
Pari, thank you, and I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you and your initiative, and good luck with all of this, mate.
Thank you so much, Uncle Pat. Obviously, you know that this is my first show, and when I asked you to come on, I said to you, Uncle Pat, look, I'm desperate for a big name here, desperate for a big name, and there's just no other than the great Uncle Pat himself. Please, would you come onto the show? And your response was quite candidly, Pari, yes. Pari, yes, I'm there for you, and thank you so much, Uncle Pat. Why did you agree to come onto the show so willingly, you know?
So willingly, Pari, because you actually gave me your first show when you were 10 years old, okay? And you were besties with my two little nephews,
yes,
all right?
Yes, yeah.
And you came and gave me some great piece of theatre on the veranda of our farm home, which I've never forgotten. Full of enthusiasm. So that's past us about 20 or so years,
you know?
And now we're in it for real, and I'm proud of you and everything you've done. And I'm immensely proud that I can be your first guest. Thanks.
Well, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. Just on the show, just to sort of warm us up a bit, Uncle Pat, because I'm going to poke the bear a bit today. You know,
yes.
just get a few interesting, convos out of you, and hear a bit more about your life and your story. And we're going to introduce you properly. But we just got some whiskey. I called you yesterday to ask what sort of whiskey you enjoy, and you kindly said you like the black label.
Very simple. I like the black label.
Very simple. So I'm going to pour you. I'm just going to pour you a quick glass of
right
some
time
Johnny
of the
Black.
day. Thank you.
Right time of the day. Perfect. Do you like that with ice, Uncle?
I went to a distillery. No ice for me. Thanks.
No
Barry.
ice, right?
I went to a distillery on the island of Isla, and we did a tour of a malt distillery.
Right.
10 years ago. And one of the interesting spots we visited in the distillery was an area known as the Spirit Room.
The Spirit Room?
Yes, and within the Spirit Room was the Spirit Safe. Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Within the Spirit Room was the Spirit Safe, which looked like an aquarium with big red seals of Her Majesty's Customs and excise locks on it. It was here that all the distilled liquor dripped through a special pipe. And there was a very short Scotsman standing on a box next to the Spirit Safe with all the locks and the red wax seals. And he stood there like this. And I said, "Good morning." He said, "Morning." And I said, "I'm from Zimbabwe. And I was just wondering, I heard that your name was Livingston. Are you any relation to Dr. Livingston?"
Yes.
And he turned around and he says, "Danny, can we got any doctors in the family?"
Don't think we got any doctors.
Here's to Dr. Livingston.
Well, here's to Dr. Livingston. Cheers, Uncle Pat.
Thanks.
Good to have you.
Barry.
Good to have you.
Mate.
Uncle Pat, so I don't know if you sort of like to be classified as a jeweler or an artist or an artisan, or but obviously you started this great business of making beautiful silver in Zimbabwe, and I would love to hear more about that and what you'd like to actually be known as Patrick Mavros.
Thank you very much. I'm not a jeweler, I'm not a silversmith, and I've had very little education in those two things. If I'm anything, I'm a carver of animals and adornment, and I turn those animals and that adornment into jewelry or into precious metal sculptures. That's what I do. Unlike our four sons, all of whom have a great education, and three of them are highly qualified in the world of the arts, I don't have that. So I just like to be known as someone who makes beautiful things in precious metal.
In precious metal. Yeah. And I've got to say, some of the pieces you do make, Uncle Pat, I don't know, for one, how someone can come up with such beauty and such elegance and cast it into silver and metal and whatever it is. So I think you've been a pioneer in our country in terms of leading the way for, and I know many young people aspire to be more to be like you, and I'm sure you come across many people who say, "Uncle Pat, could you mentor me into making silver, or can I come and sit in your workshop for umpteen hours or days and learn from you?" Is that often the case? Often
the case. And it was exactly the same place that I was at a stage in my life that we all go through, is we don't know what to do. You see, and somehow you'll find your way. There'll be something that'll take your interest. It might take 1 year, it might take 20 years. But the fact of the matter is there are a couple of golden rules.
What's that?
Hard work, number one.
Yeah.
That's part of the success, is called hard work. And the second is integrity. You must have integrity. If you're going to produce something and produce a story about it, produce a truthful story about it. If you're going to produce something, produce it honestly so that there are no faults to it.
Yes.
And finally, what you have to do is sell it for a fair price. Do you understand? Don't try and exterminate your customer before you've even started.
Yes.
So that's what it, hard work and integrity. And those are the things. And do not be afraid. Proceed, persevere. These are the, I never knew what I wanted to do.
Yes.
I had no idea about, becoming involved in the arts. But now I am. There's so much more to the arts. It is such a big field. So many things we get introduced to. You get introduced to culture of people, different peoples. We let's leave Zimbabwe and Africa and zoom over to Australia.
Yeah.
Go and take a look at what do we know about the culture? We know nothing. What do we know about the original peoples of that country and their relationship with it? We know nothing. We've got to learn, you see, and then learn the new cultures as well. Embrace all. Get the good news and the bad news and see where it all comes from.
Amen. Amen. Just going back to your hard work and culture. I mean, so hard work, integrity, and fair, right? So you say hard work and be hardworking, integrous, and fair. And I think you embody all of those traits. You know, whenever I come to the studio, you know, you see Uncle Pat there, and you see him walk. I'm walking the studio and showing your clients, you know, where it's all made in the workshop. And if you say something's going to be made by this day, it'll be made by this day and delivered to your house on that day, you know. And I think you embody that more so than anyone else.
Thank you. And if you just allow me to say something, that is extremely important. It's a word called service.
Yes.
And in our country, Zimbabwe, we've got to wake up with service.
Yeah.
Serve our customers and serve them properly. Give them a proper bag to carry their purchases out of the store. Make sure you've got the right amount of change.
Yeah.
You understand? And give them a good product and not a product that you've just pushed the price up to whatever you feel the resistance is going to be.
Absolutely.
Be an ethical business person. That is the big story. Provide a service to the customer. Otherwise, go and do something else. Go and find another job where you don't have to deal with people.
And talking about price point there, Uncle Pat. So I think, I don't know how to phrase this properly, but I think when I come into Patrick Mavros, I think you pay for what you get, you know. But if any other silver jeweler, and I know you don't like that word jeweler, if I was to start making silver and make a product, what could justify me selling my items at the same price that Patrick Mavros does? Was your price the same when you started as to what it is now? You know, if you were to make the same forge by the ocean, right? Would it be the same price today as it is 20 years away? Or because now you've made a name for yourself, you can afford to, you know, you're paying for me, you're paying for Patrick.
That is something that I used to think about, and you're right on an important subject. People say, well, once you've got the name, you've got the fame. Once you've got the name, you can now charge a proper price for it. I am super cautious of that. What you find most business people do, and what I did, was start off, not know how to make my product to perfection, have to sell it because I've got to pay the bills.
Yes.
So you pay it, you keep the price down. Normally you go financially bust once or twice, all right, just to shake you up.
Yeah.
And then slowly you find the ground where you can sell that product at a fair price. And you must be very careful as well with another danger, Pari, and that is people and what they say about your prices. So if you have a community of people buying your prices and all of a sudden they say, well, did you hear that Patrick Mavros is selling to so-and-so now and selling to so-and-so? He's put his prices up. An absolute figment of imagination. I'm here to sell my pieces. And I also categorize different. There are a whole lot of schoolgoers who buy our work. In fact, they've even developed a name for it, and I think it's because our sons are now in the business.
Yes.
It's now called not Patrick Mavros, it's called Pat Mav.
Pat Mav.
Yeah, or Patty Mav, or whatever. So that's cool. And that's the affordable stuff,
Absolutely.
what I call the affordable stuff.
Okay.
All right, and then obviously they're the big pieces, and some of those can be extremely expensive, but that's what they are. They take months and months to create, use huge amount of material and skill. Yes, and those are expensive pieces. But that's the name of the
that's the name of the game. And
name of the luxury business.
And those are not Pat Mav. Those are now that's not what we call the Patrick Mavros. That is a Patrick Mavros now.
P-A-T.
I love that. Well, and you know what? And well done to you for being able to get to that level of success. You spoke about earlier. You know, just in this last bit about going bust, you know, and this is to the young listeners.
Yes.
And you mightn't even be young. You might be 50 and 60 and go bust. You know, it doesn't matter. But
true.
But in terms of going bust, you know, from when Patrick Mavros started, you know, you know, I don't know if it's always been roses and daisies and smooth sailing, but what's that journey been in terms of money there, and you know, having money and might and having it, and what's that journey been like for you, Uncle?
That's been a fascinating journey, a very interesting journey, and like a lot of young entrepreneurs, businessmen around the world, we've been on the edge of the cliff, and once or twice just over the edge of a very precipitous cliff.
Yeah.
And it's meant a huge amount, say, to our young family, where I would go off to the Americas to sell what I'd made, bring back the money and pay our bills.
Yes.
This was the big thing, paying the bills. Forget about feeding the family.
Yeah.
Paying the bills, and that was but it took us on wonderful journeys. This is the other thing. Things like this create experiences. And one of my big things that I'd do is I'd have one of my buckles on, you see.
Yes.
So I'd take my buckle like this, and I'd tell everybody,
a crocodile buckle,
yes. And I'd go to a bar, say in Texas somewhere, and everyone would say, where y'all from? And I'd explain, from Zimbabwe. And what do you do? I'm an artist, and actually I saw these two crocodiles fighting, and this is the last buckle I have like that, you see. Oh, golly, that's the last buckle, but I have to sell it to feed my wife, kids, and pay my wages. And they'd say, really, how much do you sell a buckle like that for? And I'd say, whatever, $400, you see. That's the last one. That's the last one. I'll take it.
Really?
And I'd sell it and then take another one out of my pocket and go to the next bar. All right. So there have been some interesting stories in the pursuit of survival. Believe me, you've got to be a sharp African crossing the savannah with lots of smart ideas.
So how many pieces are people wearing that they believe is the last one?
It never became a policy.
Okay.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, that's brilliant. I love that. But that's the hustle. You know, that's the hustle. When something's starting, is you've got to hustle, and you've got to make it work. And in our term, we'll say you got to make it pop. You know, whatever you got to do to make it pop, you make it pop. You know, no, very well done. And that, you know. So you said so there's 4 sons.
4 sons.
Okay. So we got Alex, Forby, or was it the other way around?
Alex, Forbes, Patrick, and Ben.
And out of those 4 sons, 3 of them are in the family business.
3 of them in the family business.
Yes.
And our youngest, Ben, is in his own business.
Why did Ben choose not to?
Well, all 4, funny enough, are very artistic. So all 4 are equally artistic and hardworking, every single ingredient. And Ben went off, and I think Ben's always been a farmer.
Yeah.
And so he grew some potatoes and then sold the potatoes, grew more potatoes, and he's done very well in the potato business and developed like that. He's developed like that, and obviously in other commodities now, where he's excelled.
What's great to see, Uncle Pat, is how is how you brought your children up. You know, having 4 boys. I think, you know, if I was to have children, I want 4 boys.
Yes.
I want 6 boys.
Yes.
I'm scared of having some women. You know,
Yes.
just because I'm just afraid. But I think having four young bucks just coming at you hot. What a privilege, you know.
Yes.
And you've raised them all to be such gentlemen, you know. And I think it's obviously a chip of the old block. But Auntie Kacha, you know, what an amazing mum she's been to the boys, and the love that the boys show for both their father and their mother, I think is amazing. You know, and
thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's testament to the Mavros name and the Mavros household. You know, so very well done on that.
And thanks, and especially Kacha with 5 men in her family. You just imagine. That's a big herd of wild antelope to control.
That's a big herd.
And how well she's done it, and always made her home so warm and welcome for all of us.
And for all of us as guests and visitors.
All the extended.
Perry, my darling, welcome. You know, she's, you know, Perry, I'd just love to say, you know, Perry, you always, you know, as a tall man, you know, tall man can be quite overpowering or overbearing when they say g'day, but you're always so soft and gentle, Perry. You know, I want to say I love that about you. It's just love. It's lovely. It's lovely of her. You know.
Thank you.
Talking about Auntie Kacha, tell me a bit of history there, Uncle Pat. So where did you meet?
We met. Our families have been family friends for a long time.
Okay.
And what happened there is, and it's directly related to the business, is that I decided that life was marching on at the age of 23, 24. So from having been family friends, I started to date Auntie Kacha.
Okay.
All right. And but I didn't have too much money. In those days, I was a baker.
Right.
You see, but that academic career of mine wasn't very good.
Was it not very strong?
No, it was not. Well, it was consistent.
Okay.
That's the one thing. You know, in the junior school, primary school, my mother was head of the Parent Teachers Association, so she could always make sure I was in an A stream.
This is Boo.
This is Boo.
Yes.
Boo Mavros. And then when I went to secondary school, to senior school, well, she had no control over that, so I quickly slipped into a B stream and then a C stream, and I had an impeccable downhill record.
So it was a consistent downhill as well.
Consistent, no bumps, no school reports that said your son is showing promise, you know, like some people get. Just straight. Anyway, so that really, that was interesting because it was combined with my legacy of having had polio in the early 50s.
Okay.
When I couldn't walk for a couple of years. So all of the school thing actually became very, very significant in my life, because when I went to my senior school, Falcon College, out in the bush, I had a wonderful housemaster, wonderful history teacher who was also an ornithologist, Peter Stein. And because I was so light, my frame, and
because of polio.
Because of polio, I was like a stick insect. I would be sent up to climb all the tall trees to look in the eagle's nests and count the eggs, or weigh them, or
so you had polio, so you couldn't walk, Uncle Pat?
For 2 years, yeah. So, I used to be carried around.
Excuse my ignorance, but how does one get polio, or how do you get rid of it?
This polio comes in epidemics,
like chicken pox.
Like chicken pox.
Yes, okay.
It's still around. It's still around, although it's been mainly defeated. But in the 50s was a particularly bad polio epidemic.
Okay.
That swept a lot of places on the planet.
So how do you
wiped out my cousin? So you literally
can just like
breathe it in.
Oh really?
Absorb it.
Okay,
yes. So that's how it was.
And for 2 years you couldn't walk.
Yeah, for 2 years I couldn't walk. I was carried around from one chair to the other, but it helped me with my art because I love birds. I would draw birds. You see.
And how old were you at this time? How old were you at this time?
That was down when I was 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah.
But then I slowly developed therapy and started to and being young, overcame it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But it was always very skinny. And that's why I'd be sent up trees to climb and check out nests. And that was fantastic, because after a while I realized I had more guts. Forget about strength, to go up 90 feet up a tree. That was very exciting for me, and everything that you absorbed along the way. Anyway, so there's a bit of art, there's a bit of wildlife. What do? I make Auntie Kocha, because I'm in love now, a pair of earrings. I was a baker. Not too much money, but a lot of wisdom. I worked for Lobel's Bakery, Mr. Benny Lobel.
So it's Peter Lobel's father.
Peter's father, my friend's father.
Okay.
And Benny Lobel was my university. He taught me about business.
Okay.
You see, so how you've got to turn things to advantage. Just look at it. Everything starts in not such a strong place and ends up in a strong place. Because my motto, which is important, is turn disadvantage into complete advantage. In other words, not how do I get out of the trouble here? How do I get out of the trouble and benefit?
I love that.
You see.
Love that.
Turn disadvantage into complete advantage. So now there's my bride-to-be with a pretty pair of earrings, and a lot of ladies in Borrowdale competing to get a pair of earrings now. So something exciting has developed from that.
This is the first pair of earrings
This
you've ever
is
made.
the first pair of earrings I ever made. And bang, so it started. Went to Benny Lobel, said, Mr. Lobel, I'm sorry, I've become an earring maker, baker earring maker now. And I want to become a candlestick maker in the future. He said, I knew this would happen. He said, and I wish you all the luck in the world, and well done. You see, so I got this is this fascinating early piece of history. And then Kocha would help me with the making and the gluing of earrings and the assembly for a whole number of years before we became more advanced in what we did.
So there's three things there that you've just spoken, and I want to separate them before otherwise we digress. So so Auntie Kocha made her these beautiful pair of earrings. I've got to hear this story, you know. So okay, so you make her these earrings, and this is a young 24-year-old Patrick Mavros. And he goes to Auntie. So wait, so you weren't from wealth, Uncle Pat, or were you?
My father was a government doctor, and he knew your father.
Yes, or
as
Dr.
a young
Papu.
Yes. And so he was a government doctor. So I would imagine he was of modest wealth.
Yes, all right.
And wealth for the right reasons.
Correct.
Educate the children as best as they can.
Yeah.
So there we go.
And then from Auntie Kocha's side?
From Auntie Kocha's side, her family became a successful family, started with very humble beginnings on the diamond fields of Kimberley. Her father was a very old man.
Yes.
Way back on horseback, selling the miners water.
Wow.
And then that business graduated, and they became big shovel builders merchants, wheelbarrows, picks, etc., and became important.
Wow. And then you made her these earrings, and she said, you know what, I love you.
She said, I love you forever. I said, I love you too forever. And that was it.
And happily ever after.
Happily ever after. That's 40 however many years ago. And now, and very, very strong anchor in the business, you see. And with the boys growing up and their art lessons, their education, all help develop. Because one thing you do learn as you've taken this journey that I took is that sooner or later, Mr. Mavros, your lovely story of being a student has got to change, and you've got to learn something. You've got to learn a little about technology. You've got to learn. Still, I'm totally illiterate, but anyway, we won't get onto that. Your technology's got to be sound, and that's when I started now also to go overseas. In fact, I went to Scotland, to Loch Ness, back to Loch Ness, and it was in Loch Ness that there was a smithy, a little silversmith shop that taught people how to cast silver. And I did my 7-day course in 3 days, and then came back to Zimbabwe and started using those techniques. And I've been learning ever since. And,
I love that you say you're still learning ever since. I love that. I love that.
Do you know what my business is? If someone had to walk up to me any day whilst I'm working on the bench, and as you know, I still work on the bench every day of my life, and they say to me, what does this teach you? Does it teach you a lot about social history? Does it teach you about animal anatomy? I said, I'll tell you what it teaches me. It teaches me just how ignorant I am every day. Doing this funny job of sculpting and what have you teaches me how ignorant I am every day. It's a very humbling
Uncle Pat, you talk about you spoke about mentors, and you spoke about penny labels, was it?
Yes.
And in your life, who have some of your mentors been?
Oh.
And you know, if you were to have a think of that and think of, you know,
that's a great question. It's a great question. So I'm a bit of an anti-corporate type of a person. I'm a bit non-conventional. So I don't have a board meeting.
Yes.
But I have members of the board.
Okay.
And they're all in my office in imaginary photographs. I've got Benny Lobel. I got my grandfather, my uncle. I got Fred Evans of Leeds. Got my grandmother. I've got all sorts of people who've been able to impart wisdom on me, you see. That's the big thing. So when I have a particular problem in a particular area, I go to one of them, I just look up from my desk and I say, Gran, what would you have done in this particular instance? We've got a dispute going on, for example, in the administration, and what would you do to sort it? It all revolves around tea times and lunch times.
Yes, wow.
How would you do? Do you see? And I'd get a specific answer for that.
Wow.
And so my boardroom is filled with these imaginary photographs.
Yes.
And they play a very important role in my life.
Good,
so
that imaginary photographs. You can always
draw on them.
I think of some of my mentors, Uncle Pat, and your door has always been open to me. You know, I can rock up to your studio and not come into the office. Let's have a chat. And I'll never forget the one time I came in and I was going through, you know, and you said to me, Pari, what are you doing now? And I said, you know, Uncle Pat, I'm selling commodities and I'm trading this and this and this. And you said, Pari, stop. And you said, just simplify it. If you're selling potatoes, say you're selling potatoes. You know, you don't need to give me a whole long-winded answer of whatever you're doing. However, whatever it is you're doing, be the best at it. Whether you're a baker, whether you're a floor polisher, you know, just be the best at it. You know, and I'm not sure. You had this one story of this one lady who was she cleaning the airport once, and you brought her.
You've got a great memory, and you've two things. One is be the best at it. People might say, well, you sell your pieces around the world to all sorts of amazing people. Be the best at it and outwork everybody else. But don't sit and whinge and whine in your northern suburbs house like some privileged, you know, little rodent.
Yes.
Get up, work, be the best at hard work and integrity. And you're right. I arrived on an early flight from New York once into London, into Heathrow. And I stood there. I was early off the plane, and I stood there and I watched a cleaner cleaning. Very, very fastidious, such attention to detail this lady cleaned, and with such energy around the conveyor belt. Nothing was too. I saw a little few steps ahead of me, a baby drop something out of its pram, a passenger. I watched her go down and wipe it with a clean cloth and hand it back. And I thought, my goodness, look how hard this person is working at 5 o'clock in the morning. And one day, or just then, I beg your pardon, I took my business card out. I handed it to the lady. She went, oh! I said, madam, one day when you're looking for another job, call that number.
Yes.
And sure enough, she arrived at the London shop where Alexander was and said, I think it must have been your father told me to call this when I came looking for another job. And she was accompanied by her husband and her son.
Yeah.
And she got the job.
Really?
And she's head of all silver cleaning, all cleaning, whatever in that London store. She's
still there today.
Pride and joy. Years ago, she's still there today. Her name's Ivona, and she's absolutely wonderful.
Wow.
She'll make any piece of jewelry. You walk through that door, she'll make any piece of jewelry sparkle. And that's another thing that I want to say, to talk about success and outwork the next person, is the service that one provides, not just making something beautiful and selling it. The next big thing is to provide a service, clean it, all right? Then you're going to meet Ivona and remember her story about cleaning the airport building and what a proud woman she is. But we also provide service. So we will send someone, if you've got a big set of candlesticks on your table in Mumbai and you need them cleaned, we'll send someone to clean them or to train the staff how to clean them so that you always feel fresh and feel good and repairing, and nothing's a problem. Not come back in 10 weeks' time. That is our job. Our job is to serve, and that is what we will do. Very important. No arrogance in my business.
Amen. Amen. Uncle Pat, you're a man that I know that loves a cigar.
Yes.
And I believe you brought a couple for us today to share a cigar over this conversation.
That's right. Gee whiz. Pari, what a good memory you have. What a good memory you have.
I'm excited. Look, I'm not a very big cigar smoker myself.
Yes.
I enjoy the puff, but I'm excited to excited to learn from you, to know what these ones are, to learn how to light them, learn how to puff them.
Oh, well done. Thanks for asking me.
Well, thank you for bringing them, and thank you for bringing them.
So we're going to take out a pair of Bolivars. Bolivar was a revolutionary leader in Central America.
Okay.
And then you can imagine Fidel Castro had a soft spot for Mr. Bolivar, who was a brother revolutionary.
Okay.
And Bolivar is this is called a Bolivar Royal Corona. I got caught smoking a cigar when I was 14 years old at school. All right. And
smoking a cigar.
And my housemaster.
Wait. So do you just keep this on your belt at all times, Uncle Pat?
Yeah, you always keep a knife.
Is that just artillery?
Yeah. You got to keep a knife on you.
Okay, right.
You live in Africa, you got to keep a knife. Why? The single most important. What happens if a bee stings you or stings somebody? You get the knife blade and you scrape the bee sting off. Instead of beating the poison into your skin, you scrape it off.
I like that. I like that, and I love the mechanism it's tied onto you. And it's just what is this? Is it like an army, a Swiss knife? But that's just
it's a little Swiss knife on a bit of on a bit of nice paracord. Oh, now Pari, the thing about this, is that it's handmade. We don't inhale it. Okay. It's not there for inhaling and sucking in or anything. It's just the taste.
Okay.
The taste and the smell of a cigar. You see?
Right.
And the consistency that you feel that with just gentle little. You feel
there
it?
You go. Yeah.
Okay. And then a little draw.
Oh, you can taste that.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
so
good.
you got to go. This is a go slow. This is an experience. This is a seduction.
Seduction.
Okay. It's
I've got a lighter here in my pocket, Uncle Pat.
you got. Now I'll show you how to do it. If you've got
Here we are.
the means.
So you don't suck it and
You don't suck it and draw it.
like a cigarette.
No, you take your time here.
You caress her. It looks like you're caressing her.
Correct. So look at that. Now look at that. Now you give it a little. Now you can have one or two little puffs. Slowly, little puffs. Little kisses, Pari. Little kisses.
Okay,
Gentle ones, Pari. You got it. You're on it.
Is that right?
How's that?
That's goodness, that day.
Huh? That's goodness.
That's goodness.
Rudyard Kipling wrote, "Open the old cigar box.
Jeez,
Get me a Cuba stout.
Give me a
For
Cuba
things
stout.
are running crossways.
Yes.
And Maggie, my wife, and I are out. Oh, what is a better portion? Bondage bought with a ring, or harem of dusky beauties, 50 tied in a string?"
Wow.
You see, there we go.
Is it just recite poetry like that off the bat, Uncle Pat? Just recite poetry off the bat. Come on. That's just what we love. Are you gonna have one with me, or are you gonna what are you
Yeah,
thinking?
sure, I'm gonna have one.
I'd love one.
I'll have one with
I'd love
you.
a
Thank
cigarette.
you.
A cigar, my great.
Thank
Uncle.
you.
This does taste lovely.
Yeah.
So you just cut off the very tip, eh?
Just at the
head.
base, yeah, just at the base. Just very I do it with a knife. Most people do it with cutters. You see?
Beautiful.
Oh. Thank you.
So Uncle Pat, a man born and raised in Berengwa, Zimbabwe, creates this massive success of himself, right? And from Berengwa, Zimbabwe, you know, obviously you were born in the time where Zimbabwe wasn't unified yet, but you got to then live through a time where we were once on opposing sides, and then there was a coming together in 1980. There was a newfound love and respect for our country, Zimbabwe, in 1980. What was that transition like from you, coming from pre 1980 to then post 1980?
That is for me the most significant question you've asked me, Pari, because in short, we're a miracle country. We came out of a period of conflict into a period of peace throughout the pre-history of our pre-colonial history of our country, pre-independence history, and then we had an independent Zimbabwe, and there was one magnificent word, reconciliation. And that reconciliation brought the people together, brought the people from the opposite sides together. And it's the biggest thing in my heart. It's the fact that we reconciled, because I can name you one nation after the next around the planet Earth where there's been military conflict, where there's been war, who's still 100 years later not reconciled. They're still fighting each other. They're still cursing each other. And here we were asked to turn our swords into plowshares. And that's what most of the people did, and benefited from something unique that 43 years ago did not exist.
Absolutely.
And now our families are together. Can you imagine all those family names? Conflict in 1893, conflict in 1896, conflict in the 1970s. And what? Our children, our grandchildren, all go to the same school and all go and play Nuffield cricket together.
It's beautiful.
You and my nephews or whatever.
Yes.
That is beautiful. It doesn't happen in other countries. We are unique, and I love my country and its people for that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Amen to Zimbabwe. Let's raise a glass to our beautiful Zimbabwe,
Here's to our beautiful country.
To our beautiful country, and long live and forever.
Long live a peaceful future.
Amen.
The things that are important in my life so far, we've touched on, and that's young people, a message to young people. As long as people have got the message, you've got to outwork the next person.
Yes.
What about your lifestyle, guys? The lifestyle will come, believe me. And every young person is the same. Wherever he is in the world, he or she wants to look good and wants to whatever. I was so lucky. I was so lucky. It was exciting, but I knew where I wanted to do. I worked for three things in my life: security, just so that you're secure; health, that something goes wrong with a member of your family, you can get them into a vehicle, into a hospital, and you can pay the $600 bill or whatever it is. That's it. The security, so you're just safe. You're not living, in a dangerous area. Security, health, and the final one is education. And once you crack those, then guys, don't worry about your vanity and your perfume and all that other nonsense.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and your motor vehicle, etc. Probably one of the most important things.
And an often issue that we've got as young children, Uncle Pat, is that people often spend money that they don't have. As we often
spend money, and that is, you're 100%. You're right on the money there. That's one of my big ones. Don't spend more money than you earn. And so I'm not interested in borrowings. And do not go in our environment and borrow money.
Yeah.
All right. It's as simple as that. Take a step down. Take a step down on where you live. Take a step down on how you transport yourself. Take a step down on what you wear. All right. But at all costs, keep up the education, keep up the health, and keep up the security. Don't spend more than you earn. It's not smart. I've been down that road.
Yeah.
Okay. Very bad road to take. So,
and once you start going down that road, I think for anyone, isn't it difficult to come out of it, because already you've put yourself on a level that you feel like you should be.
Yes.
Right? But now to have the humility to be able to say,
you hit the right word, humility. All right. I love words with H. Humility, hard work.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
No,
Yeah.
we'll take note, people. All us young people, don't spend money that we don't have.
Correct.
That's
biggest danger.
Silver and your silver creations have allowed you to rub shoulders with some quite exciting people, whether it be royal families, whether it be celebrities. We see in People magazines and all over the shop, the royal family wearing and donning. That's Patrick Mavros though. It's not Pat Mav. That's Patrick Mavros that we see them donning. How does that affiliate? Not even affiliation, but how does that come about?
Well, thank you. First of all, it's for anybody who can buy adornment and jewelry anywhere. We feel immensely privileged. But I think if we go back to those fundamentals of hard work and integrity, I think that if you develop a reputation in that, it can take anybody very far. We obviously feel immensely privileged with the number of people who do wear our pieces. And yes, we've dealt with some, been patronized by some of the leading families in the world. And quite frankly, we're humbled by that. And we're equally proud of our country as well, at the same time as being proud of our family, that it comes from little old Zimbabwe, out here.
From a man from Berengwa.
From a man from Berengwa, and his sons and his wife and all the people who are in our business and our company. And we're very philosophical about that too, by the way. It is our community.
Yes.
You understand, the whole manner in which we run our business is very steeped in loyalty and culture and service. So that's one of those things that we pay a lot of.
And well done there, Uncle Pat.
Thank you.
It's good to hear that.
Thank you.
It's brilliant to hear that.
Yeah.
Another great celebrity that was one of our rock and roll artists. You know I would love to hear the story, because I think this is one of the most brilliant stories.
I was sitting with two American couples, two brothers married, two sisters. They were having their first night of their honeymoon on safari in Africa, but they overnighted with us in our home. So I'm sitting there with the family. Telephone goes, Patrick, you know, there's a big music festival tonight with Sting and Bruce Springsteen. I said, oh, well, I've heard about that, yes. But listen, Mr. Springsteen is only out here for 8 hours before his concert, and then he flies out again, and he'd like to see a couple of elephants and a couple of giraffes. In other words, he needs a safari that cannot last longer than an hour. Can you help us? Hold on a second. Kocha, is it okay if Bruce Springsteen comes out on a little 1 hour safari? I say to my wife, who's having breakfast on the veranda with our American guests, and the American guests go, oh yeah, Bruce Springsteen's coming on safari. So, yes, it's fine, thanks. What time would he like to come? 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock? Kocha, can we give him a quick sandwich for lunch as well? Oh yes, Bruce Springsteen's having a sandwich for us. Thank you very much. Anyway, thank you, bye-bye. Out he arrives, Bruce Springsteen arrives, and steps out of the vehicle, and magnificent physique, but very short man.
Okay.
How you doing? He says to me. I'm Bruce. I said, I'm doing fine, thank you. Patrick Mavros, and this is Pari. Patty Schiaffler. How do you do, madam? Very nice. Welcome to our home. Please come in and we'll get ready for our little elephant and giraffe safari. So and they come. Finally, we pack everybody up, cameras, bodyguards on the vehicles, and we drive down to look at the elephants. I said, to get to the elephants, we're going to cross a river. Is that all right with you, Bruce? We'll be walking across stepping stones. Hey, that's fine. Is it tiny stone or a big stone? I said, no, it's a big stone. Oh, that's okay, because he's in cowboy boots, you see, so he's doing a balancing thing. We get halfway across the river. Bruce is directly behind me, and behind Bruce, Springsteen is his bodyguard. Huge man like this. Bruce stops halfway across the river. Hey, Patrick. Yes, Bruce. What lives in the river? So I think best, don't tell him a crocodile, right? I said otters and pythons. Python, a python. That's a snake, right? I said, yes, sir. And he leaps up into the arms of his bodyguard who catches him and says, the safari is over, okay? I said, okay, the safari is over. And off we came back home. And the wildest photograph was of Bruce Springsteen in his bodyguard's arms as we took off. So, yes.
Obviously, the man's not a fan of pythons.
Absolutely.
Uncle Fat. Uncle Pat, you have been so brilliant today, and thank you so much for taking the time to come onto the show, onto the first ever one. Ladies and gentlemen, the great man himself, Patrick Mavros. If you've got any parting words or anything to say, please.
Parting words to you, Pari, and your team who is here. For all of us, I think we all feel very proud today. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
And forward with Zimbabwe.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Uncle Pat. Great
Thanks,
man.
Pari. Lots of love.
Lots of love.
Lots of love, bro.
Lots of love. Thanks,
Lots
thank
of
you very
love.
much.